Welcome back to Cadwell Park, where race 1B is about to get underway here for the Mazda MX-5 SuperCup. These are the 6 drivers taking part in this one. Jim Hart and John Stack make up row 1, with David Willoughby and George Grant on the second row, Andy Coombs and Duncan Harris on row 3. Well, as we saw last time out of Brands Hatch, the oversubscribed grid means that the B races get tagged onto the front of one of the B races for the Mark 1 cars as well. It's the Mark 3s we're focusing on, and right now we're focusing on a great start for George Grant, but also a good start for David Willoughby. They both get themselves alongside the white car, number 27 of Jim Hart, who's going to arrive at Coppice first. It's just about George Grant with a brilliant move around the outside. A bit too wide there, though, has gone Jim Hart through Charlie's. He gets muscled right down in amongst some of the Mark 1 traffic. So it's George Grant that leads the way. David Willoughby in second place. There in third position is front row sitter John Stack, and fourth place then for the 26 car of Duncan Harris. Jim Hart some way down the order, so too Andy Coombs appears to have been held up at the start of the race, the other runner within this field. Leaders, though, making their way down through the gooseneck in towards Mansfield. Now, the weather has turned slightly for this B race. There's just a little bit of drizzle, a little bit of moisture in the air. You can see there George Grant struggling a bit for traction out of Mansfield corner. Will that give David Willoughby an opportunity perhaps to have a go on the run towards Mansfield? He's looking towards the inside, snatches a break and just about manages to back out of the move before they make contact. So it will be George Grant that leads over the mountain for the first time. David Willoughby very much so in the early stages, though, taking the fight to George. Of course, George, as the race leader, is the guinea pig. Every time he arrives at a corner and the weather conditions continue to change over the course of the 20-minute race, he is going to be the man who is exploring exactly how much or indeed how little grip there is, whereas David Willoughby can gauge that from watching George in front of him. So often being in the race lead in this sort of situation isn't always such a big advantage. George, though, is starting now to assert his authority slightly. Flashes past towards the first corner, and David Willoughby in second. Third place John Stack. Don't count him out of this one. They're making his first appearance in the Mazda MX-5 SuperCup. Out onto the back straight we go towards the right-hander at Park Corner. One of the better overtaking opportunities on the Cadwell Park circuit. Towards the braking zone, George Grant definitely starting to ease away now. David Willoughby possibly about to start coming under pressure from John Stack in third place. Ooh, David gets very sideways. It's a bit slippery at that part of the circuit. You can see he's flicked the windscreen wipers on now, and that's John Stack. John Stack has spun away from third place. So I told you it was getting slippery up there. There is the visual proof of it. So John Stack spins away third place. We'll have to wait and see where he rejoins. Remember, the most important thing within these B races is that you finish within the top 5, because the top 5 finishes from race 1B get tagged onto the back of the A race for race 2, and simultaneously the bottom 5 finishes, or perhaps the first 5 non-finishes from race 1A, will be demoted into the B race for the second race of the weekend later on. The importance of that being that you can only score maximum points for a race win in the A races. If you win a B race, then you'll only score points for about 27th or 28th or so, because they merge the two results together with the A cars ahead of the B cars. So it's really important, if you're going to try and build a championship campaign, that you're in the A races as often as possible. Of course, you have 3 drop scores, which can help you out a little bit, but rather not have to rely on those, really. So leader George Grant back out of Barn Corner toward Coppice for the third time of asking. And David Willoughby, the gap between the two of them really seems to be ebbing and flowing slightly here, doesn't it? At certain parts of the circuit it seems like George Grant's a little bit quicker, but maybe out towards Chris Curve and the Gooseneck and Mansfield, that seems to be where David Willoughby is able to close in ever so slightly. Back down the park straight they go, through the dip, the compression at the bottom, then climb uphill. Feels like climbing a mountain on the run towards Park Corner. Heavily on the brakes. Clapham North, the sponsor of George Grant's car. That's because that's his company. He and the Clapham North company are main sponsors of the Mazda MX-5 SuperCup in 2017. Good to see that car at the front of the race, albeit a B race, but the last time George raced here at Cadwell Park he had a pretty nasty shunt, so understandably it's taking him a little bit of time perhaps just to get the confidence levels back, but he certainly seems to be getting confident in this race now. He's asserting his authority, he's pulling away ever further now from David Willoughby in second position. Towards the mountain we go again. The sun actually now starting to break through the clouds, so hopefully we've seen the last of the drizzle. Over the top of the hill we go towards Hall Bends. Again, through this part of the circuit, David Willoughby may be coming back at him, so it's going to be a fascinating race this. You would imagine it's going to run right to the flag. The B race is often just as hotly contested as the A races, to be honest, and this one's certainly going to be one of the closer ones we've seen in recent times. Down through Barn, third lap about to be completed. George Grant continuing on his merry way as the race leader. So towards Park Corner then, David Willoughby not close enough here to make the move, but he's very much stuck with George Grant through the middle portion of the race. Now he's starting to move into the second half, and he's maybe starting to make his presence ever more known on board with George Grant. Great view here of the never-ending right-hander at Chris Kerr, which suddenly tightens into the gooseneck just here, then fling it to the left. The car goes light over the crest, don't run too wide. Oh, bit of a mistake there from George Grant. Is Willoughby going to be able to get close enough to attack it towards Mansfield? I think he probably was. George Grant went in defensive, but then runs out wide on the exit of the corner. How much has that compromised the exit speed? We've seen Willoughby's been quick off that corner in the past. Towards Mountain we go. He's keeping a gap on the inside, because there is David Willoughby, and he is through into the race lead. So we really do have a race on our hands now. Anybody who expected George Grant to pull away and extend the margin at the head of the field has just been proven wrong. They're also about to get into some of the traffic now. Some of the Mark 1 cars about to go a lap down. So up through the Hall Bends we go again, into the right-hander at the hairpin. Jim Hart, by the way, is now into third place after John Stack's earlier moment, and another moment on the grass there for George Grant. And the reason he's pushing on so hard is that you can see already David Willoughby is pulling away. So David Willoughby, who already has shown he's had impressive pace in this race, is continuing that form now. He's in the lead. George Grant trying maybe to use some of the back markers to his advantage. They're about to catch a slower runner through Coppice Corner and in towards Charlie's. That's not a good part of the circuit to catch a slower car, and it does hold them both up slightly. David Willoughby now really starting to pull away from the second place man George Grant. They're both actually being reeled in slightly by Jim Hart in third place, but he's quite some way back. Oh, Willoughby 2 wheels out onto the dirt there. He went over the mountain. That's not a good place to be off the track, and he loses it. Oh, David Willoughby throws away the race lead. It's such a tricky part of the course, that mountain section, and he just took a bit too much speed through the right-hander, got 2 wheels on the dirt, and then as the car got light over the crest, he couldn't control it, and he spun away what was looking like far from a certain race victory, but he certainly had a really good shot at it. Now let's hope he can rejoin still within the top 5 finishers and get a promotion spot into the next race. I think he's been able to. We're about to go on to the final lap anyway, so I think David Willoughby has indeed been able to rejoin the track in, I reckon, about third place, because it will now of course be George Grant that leads the way, Jim Hart in second, and David Willoughby I think was able to rejoin a rather lowly third. So a race that George Grant led in the early going, but then looked to have handed over to David Willoughby midway through, has now fallen back into his lap. Down towards Barn Corner for the final time comes the Clapham North car, and George Grant is about to take a race victory here at Cadwell Park. Race 1B will go the way of the series sponsor. George Grant takes the checkered flag, and he is rather pleased with that one, I think. Congratulations to George, a great race victory. Second place will go the way of Jim Hart, and I'm fairly certain we'll find out in a moment or two when we get the official results that David Willoughby was able to rejoin in third. Well, there is confirmation of the result. George Grant winning in the end by over 19 seconds from Jim Hart, who had a moment late on. He still finishes second though. Willoughby third, John Stack fourth, and Duncan Harris in fifth will be the last to get promoted to the A race.
Your first win of the year as well, George. Fantastic work.
Absolutely brilliant. I mean, what can one say? A brilliant circuit. Just made a fantastic start from fourth position, and just really didn't look back. I mean, I had a few hairy moments, as you do at Cadwell, but all in all, absolutely fantastic.